That we are all here because of a well-functioning menstrual cycle, and that is what I want to talk about today: understanding how your menstrual cycle works. I'm Dr. VQ. I always share health and wellness tips. You're registered homeopath in South Africa. If you want to know more about this, how your body works as a woman, how your menstrual cycle works, stick around. Share this with your friends and family so that everyone gets to have a piece of this information. So let us get to it. Menstrual cycle has 4 phases. First phase can last up to 7 days. Every individual is different in this phase. This is the menstrual phase. This is the actual part. It is where your body sheds the blood. That blood comes from the thickened endometrial lining from the previous cycle when your body was preparing for fertilization. So if fertilization does not occur, if you are not pregnant, then you will bleed. That thickened layer of the endometrium will start shedding, and that is why we get to see the blood. So it lasts about 3 to 7 days, different for every individual, like I said. And then within that period, we have the follicular phase that starts, right? And it lasts up to 14 days. In the follicular phase, your body is preparing for another pregnancy, right? Preparing itself for another pregnancy, for the next cycle. So in the follicular phase, an important thing to note is that you are born with your ovaries and with your eggs already in your ovaries. You are born with your eggs, immature eggs, but you're already born with all the eggs you will need in your entire lifetime. That is why when you get to menopause, it's because your eggs are depleting, right? Okay, so in the follicular phase, your body sends a signal to your brain to release a hormone called FSH, follicle stimulating hormone. As the name says, it will stimulate the follicle to form around the egg. This will then trigger the increase of estrogen, right? It will trigger the increase of estrogen, and then this will lead us to the next phase. But what the main or the most important thing to note about the follicular phase is that it prepares your egg. So it wraps around your egg, it prepares it for ovulation. That's when we enter the next phase, which is the ovulation phase, which lasts about 24 hours. It is usually on day 14 on an average 28-day cycle. But you must note that every cycle is different. The number of days of the cycle differs from person to person. So usually day 14, that is when ovulation takes place. Ovulation is basically the release of the egg that was developed in the follicular phase. It is when your ovaries then release the egg into the fallopian tubes to get ready for fertilization. That is where your sperm will meet with the egg, fertilize, and form a baby. So if that does not occur, we will then enter the next phase, the luteal phase. This is where just after ovulation, it can be about 3 to 5 days post ovulation, then the luteinizing hormone is released in this luteal phase. What happens here is, you see that follicle that formed around the egg? When the egg is released during ovulation, that follicle starts to shrink and gets reabsorbed in the luteal phase. And if there is no fertilization taking place, it will get reabsorbed, and together with the endometrial layer, thickened endometrial layer, it will then start shedding in the menstrual phase. So it's a cycle. It goes round and round. A normal cycle is usually 28 days average. Days before 28 days, 5 days after 28 days, it's considered okay. If it's more than that, if the difference is more than 5 days, then you should start seeking medical attention, provided that it's never been like that before for you. Because like I said, everyone is different. You will experience the cycle differently, and you must always count. How you will count is the first day you start bleeding will be your day 1, and then count up to the next day, up to the next cycle when you start bleeding again. That is the number of days for your cycle. Everyone is different. Average is 28. A lot of people have 28-day cycle, and this does not mean that on a particular day every month you will have your period. You just need to count, like I said, from the first day of bleeding until the first day of bleeding in the next cycle. That will be the length of your menstrual cycle. It is important to note this, because then you can calculate when, although we have tests now to see when you are ovulating, especially if you want to fall pregnant, it is important to know when you ovulate. Usually it's half the number of days of your cycle. For a 28-day cycle, it would be around day 14, and it is 1 day. But if you want to fall pregnant, you have a couple of days within ovulation to fall pregnant. You have that opportunity. We usually say 3 to 5 days, because the sperm, even if it's before, the sperm can survive there for about 5 days max, right? So a day before and a couple of days after ovulation, if you have intercourse, then you might still get pregnant. It is very important to note your length, know when you ovulate, and just understand your body. Now, if you love this content, please subscribe, please like, share, and let's help each other grow the channel. Like I always say, I am new here and I would love to grow. See you in the next video. Bye.